Hey everyone, James Azar here with CyberHub Engage. Good morning for those on the East Coast. Good morning for those on the West Coast. Happy afternoon for those tuning in from Europe. James Azar here. We took a week hiatus after RSA. I was traveling last week, came back. I am in a self-imposed quarantine like many of you, just kind of keeping myself away from others in the hopes of not having the Wuhan virus. But it is Monday, March 16th, a day before St. Patrick's Day. So many plans changed, so many businesses in chaos, and so many people pulling out their incident response plans and seeing exactly how they can manage the situation we are dealt with at the moment. Something of epic proportions from all aspects. And we start today's daily cyber briefing with a major breaking story where last night it was reported that a cyber attack was launched on HHS meant to slow down the coronavirus response by the Health and Human Services. So we know that cyber criminals are on the rise. We have a lot more to talk about on today's daily cyber briefing. We are doing this in a different format, giving the change in circumstances rather than just giving you the stories. We'll be on. And I look forward to doing this more throughout our quarantine period together. For those working from home, for those looking to interact and missing that friendly connection with other human beings, or if you're at home stuck with your family and you're just looking for a little bit of time to get away from it all, you can join us here on CyberHub Engage. We'll be bringing exclusive content each and every single day, live conversations. We'll be doing live conferences and live summits here as well. So if you've got a topic you want to talk about while we're away, just reach out to us via any one of our social media channels or through our websites at cyberhubengage.com. I am self-directing, self-producing today since we are in quarantine. So if there's any hiccups at all, just know I'm doing my very, very best. Let's get into today's breaking story. But before we do that, just a message. We are supported by CyberHub USA with their virtual CISO and cyber awareness trainings. Now more than ever, if you need any cybersecurity services or advisement from afar, CyberHub USA has it all for you. Go to cyberhubusa.co for more information. Again, CyberHub USA, like our great nation.co for more information. And now to a breaking story here, where we've got some stuff from ABC News and I've got some stuff where I've been informed directly. So the Department of Health and Human Services experienced some form of a cyber attack on Sunday night related to its coronavirus response. That is according to administration's officials, which was confirmed by ABC News this morning. The attempt was to slow down operations according to sources. The nature and the origin of the attack is still under investigation. The attack was first reported by Bloomberg. In a statement, and former acting Undersecretary of Department of Homeland Security and contributor to ABC News, John Cohen says, as federal, state, and local governments focus on handling the current public health crisis, national security officials are also tracking other threats, in particular those posed by terrorist or extremist groups and foreign adversaries who may seek to take advantage of all of the attention being focused on the coronavirus to conduct an attack. This isn't so far-fetched. In fact, ISIS yesterday launched a message to its fighters in Europe and in the West to refrain from launching any attacks or going out in public from the fear of being infected by coronavirus. So even ISIS is taking this virus seriously. But moreover, folks, there's going to be more and more attacks and people trying to take advantage of this situation. So make sure you are talking to your groups around the corona and Wuhan virus awareness. Figure out a new way to communicate different things. A lot of work threads today and a lot of Slack channel threads are filled with all these different headlines and rumors and so forth. Try to keep those under control. We know that people who are out to take advantage of it are going to utilize this situation to their advantage. So let us all keep in mind, one thing I've done as a CISO is I'm sharing coronavirus news only through two people, myself and someone else in the organization. And we're doing it through our WhatsApp group, nothing through email. So if they get any emails pretending to be anyone from within the organization around the Wuhan virus, they know not to pay any attention to it and just let it go through. So find your own unique way of communicating this stuff internally and so much more. And now to our another story where healthcare facilities around this pandemic. Governments are working really hard to try and marshal the right response to COVID-19 outbreak. Their efforts are being complicated by a lot of malware, including ransomware attacks that are continuing to hit the most vulnerable and most important institutions during this period of time, healthcare organizations. Some of those facilities aren't only treating patients, but they're also at the forefront line and the forefront of the virus testing labs. With the COVID-19 declared an epidemic by the WHO, healthcare facilities in some countries have already been overwhelmed by the need to care for patients with severely compromised respiratory systems, as well as rapidly test anyone they suspect of being infected. And Swiss anti-malware service abuse.ch had tweeted, "I really hope the bad guys step back in the coming weeks, but I think the Swiss are high on chocolate." On Tuesday, a Champaign-Urbana public health district, which serves about 210,000 people in central Illinois, was hit with a ransomware attack, NetWalker ransomware, aka Mail2. They are working to get their website up and running. The organization reported via its Facebook page on Thursday before announcing Friday that the website had been restored. CUPHD can confirm that our system was attacked by a ransomware virus called NetWalker, a spokesperson told the Register last week. The NetWalker ransomware as a service offering, which was first spotted in August of last year, has also been tied to numerous other attacks, including a February 10th infection at the Australian transportation and logistics firm Toll Group. Despite CUPHD getting its website back and running, a full fix might take weeks to accomplish. In the meantime, of course, there's the epidemic of COVID-19 to deal with, and they've had their first confirmed case of COVID-19 in this district, which is a female in her 50s, and she is in home isolation and recovering. In response to the outbreak, the Illinois state government announced that as of Tuesday, all schools will be closed. And O'Hare Airport in Chicago was a scene of weekend chaos as airline travelers were forced to stand in dense lines for hours before clearing customs. The Chicago Tribune reported, noting that some other major airports, including Dallas-Fort Worth, saw similar conditions. I can tell you, I flew back into the States from Israel on Friday night through Toronto. In Canada, there were no lines. In fact, the airports were empty. Our flight from Toronto to Atlanta was 60% full. This is typically a full flight whenever I take it. I've taken it in the past. But no one tested our temperature. We weren't forced to stand in any unneeded or unnecessary lines. Obviously, this whole idea of going to the airport, standing in line to be tested before traveling is actually creating another public health crisis, simply because of the fact that you need to do, if you are going out in public, stay around 6 feet away from other people. Don't shake hands, wash your hands. Obviously, we've all seen and heard it. But on Friday, a hospital in the Czech Republic's second largest city of Brno suffered an infection that traced to an as of yet undisclosed strain of malware. The hospital, University of Brno, runs one of the country's largest COVID-19 testing labs, and the country confirmed its first known case of the disease on March 1st. And as of Monday, the number of known COVID-19 cases within its borders has reached 298. The way this virus is spreading, folks, is really insane. The numbers are doubling each and every single day. Here in the state of Georgia, on Saturday when I arrived home, there were 34 confirmed cases. As of this morning, we're at 97. So we're seeing the number double essentially daily. So just really do adhere to some of this stuff. Bad guys are taking advantage of it. So like I said, proper communication. The hospital in the Czech Republic is dealing with this and was forced to deactivate all of their IT systems, as well as canceled plans of any operations and divert incoming acute patients to a different hospital. We'll not name it so that the hackers don't really go to it, although there are websites that are reporting the other hospitals. I won't be mentioning those now in order not to let the bad guys know where they're going to. It is a pandemic from a health perspective. It's also a cybercrime pandemic as well, as hackers try to take advantage of this with ransomware gangs really stepping up their COVID-19 phishing attacks in order to gain access to networks and launch ransomware attacks in order to gain some financial gain during this very, very difficult time. We keep on expecting that cybercrime is going to be a booming business in this period of time. It's really important to communicate within your organization on COVID-19. I can't stress it enough. If you are working remotely, and now that seems to be the trend going forward, please just make sure you are setting up lines of communication where the company and the CISO office can be the leading voice of news to employees with updates using non-traditional channels that maybe hackers don't have access to, so that way the cyber criminals can't really take advantage of that as well. And we move on to our next story of the day, and this one a little bit more traditional in it, that it's time to patch. Microsoft on Thursday released a fix for a remote code execution vulnerability in recent versions of Windows 10 and Windows servers. The out-of-band security update follows the usual patch of monthly security updates having already been released on Tuesday. Overall, this month's Patch Tuesday features fixes for 115 different flaws, but one additional flaw designated as critical because it could be used by remote attackers to execute arbitrary code on vulnerable systems came to light, apparently due to a coordination failure between Microsoft and one or more of the security business partners with which it shares advanced warnings of flaws that it plans to fix. The vulnerability, due to a flaw in the Microsoft Server Message Block 3.1.1 SMB version 3 protocol, exists in some 32-bit and 64-bit versions of Windows 10, as well as some versions of Windows servers. The vulnerability applies to Windows 10 version 19.03 and Windows 10 version 19.09, Windows Server 19.03, and Windows Server version 19.09, according to Microsoft. While we have not observed an attack exploiting this vulnerability, we recommend that you apply this update to your affected devices with priority. To eliminate the flaw on clients, Microsoft says it's updated its KB 4551762 must be installed even for organizations that have already put one of the server's workarounds in place that the company detailed earlier this week. Any organizations using vulnerable versions of Windows 10 or Windows servers that have automatic update enabled will automatically get the fixed, but for any organizations that manually manages update, Microsoft says they must download and install the new security update it pushed on Wednesday of last week. Please update ASAP or use the workaround information to protect your networks, tweeted Nate Warfield, a member of the Microsoft security research team. So what's the risk on all of this? On Thursday, there were at least 48,000 vulnerable Windows Server hosts that have the flaw and that are internet connected. Less than 4% of publicly accessible SMBs endpoints potentially have this vulnerability, as it relies on specific versions of OS. So we would suggest that organizations do not overreact. If you're not patching yet, until organizations installed the patch, they can mitigate the flaw for servers by using a Microsoft workaround, which involves deactivating the SMB version 3 compression, but there are no complete workarounds for clients, meaning they remain vulnerable to exploitation until they do get patched. The internal blue exploit tool, which was built by the NSA before it somehow was obtained by Shadow Brokers gang and leaked in April of 2017. Both the US and UK governments blame North Korea for launching WannaCry, which tapped the internal blue to enable a worm-like spreading ability that this specific patch could allow. So just make sure you are patching your products and getting those taken care of. And as I've started saying, the National Cybersecurity Center in the UK is warning that criminals are looking to exploit the spread of coronavirus to conduct cyber attacks and hacking campaigns. Experts at the NCSC, the cyber arm of the GCHQ, have spotted a range of scams and cyber threats that look to take advantage of the Wuhan virus for their own malicious ends. In many cases, attacks are based around phishing emails containing links or attachments that claim to contain important information about the virus. Once open, these infect the PC with malware that can be used to exploit the infected victim. The NCSC says it has taken measures to automatically uncover and remove malicious websites run by cyber criminals running coronavirus scams and other malicious activity. The actions come after what the security agency describes as an increase in the registration of web pages relating to coronavirus, something the NCSC suspects to be the work of cyber criminals looking to exploit the outbreak. We know that cyber criminals are opportunistic and will look to exploit based on people's fears. This according to Paul Churchester, the director of operations at the NCSC. One advice to the public is to follow guidelines, Twitter accounts that are verified, that are state government Twitter accounts. If you're going to do so, follow your internal organization's guidelines for security and emergency awareness. Beware of trick bots, beware of phishing emails, beware of any messages that come from the government to your email address, especially if it's an email address you've never used with the government previously. Make sure you are being educated. We'll be here live every single day on Twitter. I'll be coming up live a bunch of times over the course of the week, maybe multiple times a day based on how things are going on. So make sure if you have any questions, you can join us. Let's have a discussion. And now that we're all working remotely, let's share best practices as well. You can do so below the thread of this video. What are some of your best practices? Please make sure to share those. That's it for our daily cyber briefing today. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. We are back. We're here, CyberHub Engage, each and every single day to kind of give you the best and latest around this pandemic and what it means for us cybersecurity professionals. We are all working remotely. And so with that being said, we'd love to hear some of your best practices, jokes, memes, you name it. Join the community in dealing with this pandemic. And if you run out of toilet paper, I am selling it at $15 a roll. I also have hand sanitizer I can ship to you on Amazon Prime for a cheap rate of only $20 a bottle. Who says we can't make money in this economy? That's it for us here today. My name is James Azar. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, James_Azar1. Until next time, folks, that and so much more. Stay cyber safe.